Have you ever wondered what the world would look like if one person had lived just a little bit longer? Not just anyone, but someone who changed the course of history in a mere 13 years. I'm talking about Alexander the Great. He died at just 32, but what if he hadn't? What if he'd lived to be 50 or even 70? Let's dive into one of history's greatest what-ifs. When Alexander died in 323 BCE, his empire was the largest the world had ever seen, stretching from Greece all the way to India. But it was an empire held together by his personal genius and charisma. He had big plans, detailed in his last plans or hypomnemata. These weren't just idle daydreams, they were blueprints for the future. His first order of business, the conquest of Arabia. This wasn't just for glory. The Arabian Peninsula controlled lucrative trade routes for spices and incense. Imagine Alexander's undefeated army, backed by a newly built fleet of 1,000 warships, sweeping down the coast. The campaign would have likely been swift and decisive, bringing immense wealth and new trade arteries directly under Macedonian control. This would have fundamentally shifted the economic center of the world long before the rise of Rome. With Arabia secured, where would Alexander have looked next? All signs point west. The rising powers of Carthage, Sicily, and a small but ambitious republic called Rome were in his sights. He famously considered the conflicts between the western city-states to be child's play. A clash was inevitable. Picture this: Alexander's battle-hardened veterans, masters of the phalanx and combined arms tactics, landing in Italy or North Africa. The Carthaginian armies, while formidable, relied heavily on mercenaries. The early Roman legions, though disciplined, had never faced a military mind like Alexander's. It's highly probable that he would have conquered them. The Punic Wars might never have happened, and Rome could have become just another provincial city in a vast Hellenistic world empire. The world we know, so deeply shaped by Roman law, language, and engineering, would be completely different. Latin might be a forgotten tongue replaced by Greek as the language of power and culture across the Mediterranean. But conquest was only half of Alexander's vision. His true genius was in his policy of fusion. He didn't just want to rule over people, he wanted to create a new, blended culture. He encouraged his soldiers to marry Persian women, adopted Persian court customs, and founded over 70 cities, all named Alexandria, from Egypt to the borders of India. With another 30 or 40 years, this project would have matured. These cities would have become true melting pots, centers of learning and trade where Greek philosophy met Eastern mysticism, and Macedonian military science was taught alongside Babylonian astronomy. The Library of Alexandria, instead of being just one great institution, might have been the first of many, spreading knowledge across a stable, unified empire. We could have seen scientific and philosophical progress leap forward by centuries. Think about it: the steam engine, advanced mathematics, theories of the cosmos, all potentially emerging thousands of years earlier. A long-lived Alexander would also have needed to solve the problem of succession. He was a micromanager who held all the strings of power. As he aged, he would have been forced to create a stable administrative system, something more permanent than his personal authority. He might have groomed his son, Alexander IV, to rule. He could have established a clear line of succession, preventing the bloody civil wars that tore his empire apart after his actual death. This unified empire, a Hellenistic superpower stretching from the Strait of Gibraltar to the Ganges River, would have been the undisputed center of the world. Its stability would have fostered trade on an unprecedented scale. The Silk Road wouldn't just be a trade route. It would be an internal highway of a single state. Ideas, technologies, and goods would flow freely, accelerating development everywhere. Of course, it wouldn't have all been perfect. Governing such a massive, diverse empire would be a monumental challenge. There would have been rebellions. His generals, ambitious men in their own right, might still have plotted against him. Maintaining control over distant provinces like Bactria or India would have required constant vigilance. Perhaps the empire would have eventually fractured anyway, but it would have been a slower, more controlled process, leaving behind larger, more stable successor kingdoms. The impact on religion would be profound. A dominant, long-lasting Hellenistic culture might have absorbed or altered the development of monotheistic faiths. The world might have followed a syncretic blend of Greek pantheism and Eastern philosophies for centuries longer. So, what's the final picture? A world where Greek is the global language, where scientific progress is centuries ahead, and where the political map is completely redrawn. Rome, as we know it, might not exist. The great empires of the East would have developed in the shadow of a colossal Hellenistic neighbor. It's a fascinating, almost overwhelming thought. The premature death of this one man in Babylon truly changed everything. The world we live in today is, in many ways, a direct consequence of that fever. What do you think? Would a world under an aged Alexander have been a better one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring these incredible historical what-ifs, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.